Greetings and hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Toys Equals Midlife Crisis Squared. And today we will be approaching this particular box of stuff, commonly referred to as Televiper and Cobra Flight Pod, or as we like to call it, is trubba-bubba. That's right, man. It's trubba-bubba. And look at all the pretty stuff you get. It is a big box, man. I bought 2 of these, and it came in a gigantic box. And I thought, what did I order? Oh, my God. So, yeah. So what all do you get in this gigantosaur of a box, right? It is the thickness. There ain't no joke. I may not even be able to show it all, just because it doesn't fit in frame. Anyway, he's number 79 in the line. Got a nice grinning fool. And oh look, it's a bunch of stuff and a lot of details and tiny little things you can't even see. And look, all the other stuff you're going to get. As if you would ever see this on the shelf. This is the thing that gets me. Now, I'm just going to throw this out there because it just dawns on me, right? So why bother with all this if it's never going to be on the store shelf? Because this is a Pulse exclusive. So you can only get this on Amazon Pulse. You can't get it on Amazon. You can't get it, in the toy stores, basically. I mean, I guess, overseas, but still, geez, Louise. Anyway, and oh, look, you get a QR code. Sorry, because you know how important those QR codes are. Anyway, so, why don't we just get this on out the box? Yeah. Yeah. All right, well, there he is, out of the box at last. And he comes with a bunch of stuff. Now, some people have remarked, and I do agree with, you really didn't need this massive box for all this. They could have made this box a little bit smaller, but you know what? It is what it is. Now there's a lot to get through, so let's get to it. So we'll start with let's go ahead and start with the figure before we go on and talk about the trubba-bubba of Bubba Dubba's Trubbas. Okay, all right, let's switching to manual configuration. All right, let me adjustify and adjustificate. Yeah, right here. I think I've got that. I think I do. Okay, let me bust some light on this dude. Okay, so here he is in all of his glory. Now, lots of detail, lots of colors, lots of accessory. And he's a really true, absolutely true blue to the original dude. No joke. Now, he has got a lot of reuse, like his legs and feet and waist, and boots and everything. That's all Flint and Recondo. This wet gear is new. The vest is new. The shirt is also going to be, like the chest, is also Recondo / Falcon. And but these arms are new, the sleeves. I don't know of anyone who has those. The arms are probably just the standard bare arms, just painted black. But I think the gloves are new. I could be wrong. But I do like the fact that the watch is an actual accessory. It's not molded in. It can be taken off, twisted around, moved. Same thing, he has a new wristband with a bunch of stuff on it. I don't know if that's coming through, but it's there. Typical articulation. I tested it when I took him out. I mean, he does. He can at least come up. Now, on my other one, I bought 2 of these. So the first one, once I moved them up into position, they kind of locked there, and I was like, uh-oh. So they're a little weird. They're a bit stiff. Legs are a bit stiff. Everything's a bit stiff. Now, I'm not a big fan I like the look of these boots, but in terms of functionality, they don't articulate well. Like, they're really stiff, and they kind of remind me of some of like the first series, where the feet are awkward and stiff, and they kind of lock into places that make them either fall forward or fall backward if you try to stand them up. And I do fear that he has that same problem. But he's got a lot of movement in the head, which is always nice. Speaking of heads, he does come with a lot of stuff. I'm going to put him to the side for now. Comes with an alternate ethnic head sculpt, which is really just, in many ways, taking the same sneer and flipping it the other direction, but still really cool. And he comes with a robotic helmet, which I have to admit, it's very different because it's got this extra sculpting on the back. Some people are saying, well, maybe it's a space flight suit, but we all know that, well, at least I don't know. I don't know that these ever went into space. They're always atmospheric. I just don't know if they could fly up into space. I mean, first of all, you would freeze to death. So, despite you needing oxygen. So I think these were meant to be robotic drones. And in that regard, I really would like to use these for different people. Like, especially the Cobra Troopers and Cobra Officers, if we could just remove their head. But unfortunately, I dropped it to the floor. And so I'll just take this one to show you. See how the peg in there? It's almost like that's how Hasbro determines the size. They can actually just input whatever size hole they want in there. In this case, it's too small for the neck pegs on the Troopers, but I'll pop one off and eventually just show you what that looks like, and it just looks really cool. So you get his backpack. One's got a little bit of warpiness. Again, absolutely true to the original. And actually, I never really had this figure. I never bought the figure, I should say. I believe I ended it up with this figure because, once again, my stepbrother, this mysterious individual who I keep talking about, but you never met or know. Actually, I don't know him that well either. He's long gone out of my life, unfortunately. But, no, not dead. Just after my father left the stepmother, it was pretty much like, well, we don't need to hang around this guy anymore. And poof, gone. But that's a whole nother sack of worms. Yeah, so very cool. Got a bunch of pushy button stuff. Got a peg to put the weapon in. And you got this for the hose. It comes with the same hose we've seen in a couple other people, like Barbecue and Dr. Nipplebender. And this, we'll see it again in some other stuff too. And speaking of which, you get this weird, whatever this is. Now, I believe in the original file card, this was some kind of sonic wave blaster. Like, you shoot it at people and it causes their, it's kind of like noise disruption, where it gives you, I don't know, a headache or earache, and it hurts your ears and you fall to the ground. However, they did give it a port for blast effects, though, so there is that. You could technically put, and I know just the blast effect to use, don't you? Hold on one sec. All right. Yeah. So there you have it. So it'll accept blast effects that are very interesting. Okay. Now that we're done with that figure, let's take a look at the trubba-bubba. Okay, now there's a whole mess of details on this. Wow, that was tight. As you can see, it's got various forms of paint applications, like a speaker right there, because it tunes in mono. Various gauges, 70-30, I don't know what that's about. Radar, various buttons. You've got panels on the outside. No idea what these numbers mean. Someone kept thinking that was a 0, but it's a Q. So 15E3MQ, whatever that means. In this case here, it's talking about the fuse. Apparently, it's a caution electric and twist to release. Oh, yeah, that's what she said. Yeah, to twist to release. SB, whatever that is. And more electronics stoof. More details in the back. Lots of details on the bottom, which again, it's kind of like they really were extremely detailed on this. Now, there is one thing I don't get it. This is a design thing I do not understand. Okay, so you see this little jet port here along with this little rivety thing, and it is not repeated on this side. You do get the jet, but not this little thing. So if you flip it around and look at it from the front, you'll see that on one side it's this square, I'm trying to literally shine a light on it here. You get like a vent. It's not working out too well. You get this little internal honeycombed vent, but this, on the other side, you literally get a turbine. And here it's in a box, and here it is not. It's unusual, because at least with that vent, you understand why there's a jet on the other side. But here, you get a turbine that does not line up with the jet. It's like they should have just flipped this, but they didn't. So, oh well. I mean, I guess you just have a turbine that really does nothing. Whatever. You get the belt system. It's very flimsy plastic, gummy plastic. And so that kind of makes this internal peg a little awkward when you're right there, that little peg. It kind of is difficult. But it hinges on the front, so you can do whatever you need to do there. You can adjust it. Obviously, this thing turns, probably do a 360. Yep, 360. You get the heads-up display, little fins, and you get this ball peg. Now, I'm going to put the gun on it, but I'm going to give you a warning here. So, this is the gun that comes with it. Comes in a piece of cardboard to keep it straight. Yay. Has support for blast effects. Now, it's going to peg in, but here's the thing. I want you to notice something here. Look how pristine this area is right here. Now watch what happens. Now you're going to have to use quite a bit of force to get in this peg, and hopefully don't break your peg. But you got to push it in until you have to kind of twist it in. And once you get it in, you'll now notice there are slight stress marks right there. So now it has stress marks. That's a little more evident. And that's just the way it is. I mean, you could try warming it up first before putting it in if you're concerned about it, but it's hard to notice. But it is a stress mark. But it also means that it will stay in there. And of course it can rotate around and do stuff, and that's what's cool about it, right? There's one other problem. This side, this little peg right here, it will push in, no problem. The other side, not so much. It somehow is crafted where it won't fit. It doesn't close completely. You have to really push it and force it in, and I'm worried it'll break. I was able to do it on one, but just be aware that will happen. Now, you get this, the jet pack. I'm going to go ahead and it pegs in on the back here. And it fits. Both of mine fit, but I've heard complaints that some of them don't. But mine did. PE49L7A, whatever that means. Danger! Hot exhaust! Yes. And PE49L7A again. And, oh, look, it took out some Sky Strikers that we don't have in classified yet. Yeah. So there you have it. That's, and this, of course, moves. Right? And that's very thin plastic, so be wary of that. The one last thing, it comes with 10 missiles, right? Standard bear with a little dog bone entry. Now it has a port, and blast effects will fit into said port. I'll even use the same one that I used on the gun. Okay, there you have it. Yay! So you can put blast effects to a certain degree. You can't use the ones that come with bazooka or scrap iron. Now to put these on this, you have to have
these guys, right? Now, these things will fall off no matter what you do. You pretty much are going to have to glue them if you want them to stay. However, they are notched. This is R1, the other one's going to be L1. And they're notched with these little extra parts on the other end. So you have to, I don't know if I'm going to get this right, but you just plug them in as such, and then you can then put the missiles. I know I'm not even seeing what I'm doing, so I apologize if this is off camera or off kilter. This is kind of difficult to keep in frame, right? And so there you have it. Oh, look, that's right. You also get this heads-up display, and the dome is kind of scratched up and dirty. Look at that. There's cracks on mine. I don't know if you could see that or if it's coming through. Let's see. Yeah. So you see how that has those weird cracks? They're not. Are they cracks or they're some kind of a crackulature growth? I don't know. That's weird. I did not notice that on my other one before. Anyway, it'll just sit there all nice and fun. All right. Oh, and the last thing, you get the sky mine. Now, okay, so you can take the cover off and you get to see the insides of it. Yay. But here's the thing. There's no way to fit this on the craft. I've checked every little crevice I could think of, and there's nowhere to attach it. So what I've decided is you have to kind of, let me bring out my other one. All right, so, oops, lost a missile. You could there just kind of, I don't know, carry it. I don't know. I'm not really sure how they were meant to be utilized, but yeah, you just kind of, it just becomes kind of a thing they carry, right? Otherwise, I don't really understand where it's supposed to end up. Now, there is one thing I did notice, and it looked kind of obvious at first. Okay, so just thinking of this logistically, you have this empty port here. You also can put a blast effect in there. Remember the same blast effect? You can have this thing launch. That's all well and good. So you can do that, but it also has these holes, right? These little holes you see here, and you could put fishing line in it, I guess, and hang it so that you can have it on your diorama. I'm guessing that's what that's for, but this looks like it would fit right here in this little circular part, because it would have gone perfectly there, but it doesn't fit. But you could see if it was possible to do, you could see where it would just perfectly fit there. If you could ever find a way to make a nib that fits into that hole and then also fits into this, you could attach it there and it would just be perfect. But I'm not an engineer at Hasbro. So let's do some comparisons.
Now back to G.I. Joe.
And we're back. And here we have him with the rest of the giggle gaggle of other troopers and Vipers, right? So you have your Valkyrie, you got your Cobra Infantry, you got your Televiper, you got your Cobra Officer, and you got the 3-pack Viper. Now, their blues are all kind of sort of all over the place in terms of shade, but they're still enough to fit. I mean, the purple kind of throws it off, but they all kind of fill in with those ranks, right? So remember what I told you about what I kind of want to do with the robotic head? Well, I will show you how that's actually going to work, right? I mean, of course, it's not going to work in the terms of the ball joint in the neck, but I will show you right quick how it will look if it fit well.
Come here, you. Don't pop my head off. Dead. Totally dead.
Okay. Tell me that's not freaking cool. That just looks damn cool to me. If he was marching around like just kind of like change it to a different form of infantry, right? But of course the head's not really on there. It's just kind of floating there. But if I changed it, changed the ball joint, not the ball joint, but the the socket on the inside, it would fit, and it would just look totally, totally cool, in my opinion. So now, I'm dead. All right, let's move on to some different comparisons. All right, and here he is next to scrap iron and a bat, because, you know, they might be interchangeable on the battlefield with a bat. Notice the bat is taller than the Televiper, but then you also have scrap iron, who's blue, again, much darker, but still fits that motif that I enjoy so much. But yeah, that's what you do when you're in Cobra. You just, you fit in. You have to fit in or else. All right, moving on.
Don't go away. We'll be back right after these messages.
Okay, so how about some Joes? So here we have Shipwreck, and we have the old Breaker. You know, it's kind of the counter communications expert. And I've got him decked out with a little bit of the old Gridiron Studios stuff. But as you can see, he's fits in quite nicely. I can foresee good old Breaker giving a right cross across the jaw of Mr. Televiper, because that's kind of what they deserve. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, moving on. Well, all right, that about wraps up all I can really talk about on the Televiper. I'm sure I might have missed stuff, but, you know, you could put in the comments that, you know, hey, you didn't talk about this. So that way I know, you know, kind of what I missed and kind of what you're looking for in such reviews such as this. And here he is all decked out with the gun kind of attached to that peg. And it sits a little awkward because it's square and not round, so it's kind of keyed. But at the same time, how you put it's going to depend on how you want his arms to be, because one or two of the things are going to stick out. But I like this. I think it looks kind of cool at that angle. Anyway, so we're going to move on to photos.